There we are. Splendid. Good evening to you all. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I will begin. Oh, turn the volume down, you unprofessional idiot. Good evening to you all, and a very warm welcome to Monday Night Live, where I, with orgasmic joy, will be coming into your eyes and ears over the next hour or so, like a liver bird in mating season. Darlings, it's Monday night. We are back together again, and oh, well, what a joyful moment for me on a personal basis, anyway. And you are looking quite nicely placed, so thank you for that. You are not noticeably on the wonk. You are perhaps a little bit low, are you? Or can you cope with that? You've got the flowers, that's nice. Yeah, splendid. So, we have got a lot to catch up on, haven't we? We haven't been together since, Thursday of last week, and that was very much in the long, long ago. So let's do exactly that. Let's catch up. Tell me all about your weekends, my darlings. Tell me what you've been doing in this beautifully balmy, warm weather. Of course, it goes without saying, I want to know what you've been eating. Yes, I do. I would like to know about any encounters you've had with a famous over the past 3 or 4 days. I would love to know if you've had any memorable dreams. And of course, I would like to know if anything has nearly but not quite fallen on your head. That is a given. And an early reminder, if I may, that it is your bounden duty to name this evening's live stream. So get those guesses coming in as early as you like. Now then, let's catch up with who. Oh, right, And first cab off the rank is our Barry, that guy from SETI Alpha 5. And he says, Brown da, Boaty. Well, it's a bit later than that here, mate. But I expect it's afternoon for you. Sorry I can't be there tonight. I'm having a barbecue with family on this Labour Day afternoon. Stay safe all. Well, I was going to say, I hope you have a wonderful time, but you're not here. You're not listening to this. You've got no idea that I would say it. So, but you could watch it on catch up, couldn't you? So, right, I'll be clever here. You see, professional. Sorry you couldn't be with us, Barry. Hope you and your family had a wonderful Labour Day barbecue. See, that's what sets me apart. Absolute professionalism there. Jimmy Quinn is in our midst, and that's always a joy. Good evening, Jimmy. My shirt is falling down. That's unfortunate, isn't it? Oh, well, we'll just cope with that, won't we? Bollocks. I hope it's not going to be one of those nights. I'm a bit worried about the internet because I have got a lot of footage today. And all of the footage is on my elderly iPhone 6. There. You are getting me through it. I don't mean that you're getting me through it. I mean that you're getting me through my elderly iPhone 6. And a lot of the content is on there. And that will be transferring in this mystical and magical way that modern technology can. That will be uploading to a thing called the cloud. That's exciting, isn't it? And now with the other devices, I can pause that. But on that elderly iPhone 6, I'm not sure how to pause it. So I'm somewhat concerned that the uploading of all this footage is going to slow down the interwebs and interrupt this live stream symposium. But let's hope that it doesn't. And I can see that you've got a view there of a somewhat droopy flower. And I don't want you to see a somewhat droopy flower. I want you to see vibrant, lovely flowers. That's not central now. There we are. So, I'm always thinking about you. Always thinking about you, you see. It's all about you, your comfort, and your enjoyment. That's what you get in Boaty's world. Where did I get to? Simon is here. Simon, of course, of the community channel, Smashing Pistons. Good evening to you, Simon. Hope you're very well. Trace is here, the Greenwood, another of our community channels. Good evening, all, and in capital letters and a bit shouty, evening, Jimmy. And I second that. Steve Culk is amongst us. Oh, and the haiku from Simon. These are always good fun. I didn't really need to clear my throat then. I was doing that for dramatic effect. And I'm not going to lie to you about that. A car with speed, yes, it makes you feel like you live. But the style, boredom. And I don't know which of your cars you're talking about there, Simon, but I'm sure it's not at all boring. And Simon goes on to say, evening, everyone, and specifically asks Trace, and I wish you hadn't asked this, Simon, but you asked it, and you just know you're going to get an answer from our Trace. He asks Trace, what percentage clothes do you tonight? And I know that there's going to be an answer, and I really don't want to read it. Winslow Burdett is amongst us, and that is just a wonderful, wonderful thing, and says, soon the good Mr. Boaty will be coming into our eyes and ear, and that's a comforting thought. I'm glad it's comforting. That is certainly the intention. Some more words of wisdom from Simon. There was once a great wise man. That is all. Oh, there we are. Oh, and I knew there'd be an answer from Trace. Oh, God, here we go. Oh, my God, Simon. So sexy tonight. Oh, shall I put on a sexy voice? Oh, my God, Simon. Oh, so sexy tonight. Oh, about 2%, including a vest stroke bra and some really hot elastic tube bandages. Nice. Oh, God, I told you not to ask. One ear is all that Boaty can manage in one session these days, says Trace, and yeah, many a true word spoken in jest there. God, Simon. Simon says, lol, and this is directed at Trace. I'm surprised you're not on OnlyFans. I'm going to start a cake-based version called OnlyFlans. Oh, God. Bad Books is in our midst, and that's lovely. Good evening to you, Bad Books. And, oh, splendid. Sabana is here, my young friend from the restaurant. Namaskar. Oh, Jason, you come live on Monday as well? Yes, Sabana. Monday's the big one. I start an hour earlier. I start at 10 instead of 11 because I'm not at the restaurant. And I sometimes go on a little longer than just the hour that you get or that you're supposed to get on other nights. So I hope you've had a good day off, young sir. If you did play pool, I hope you won. And thank you very much for joining us. I miss Mr. Roger. I miss Mr. Roger Boaty, Mr. George Roger Boaty at the start. Damn the neighbour, the killjoy. Well, I tell you what we'll do. I miss it too, to be honest. And I am going to start doing some short lunchtime lives. And at lunchtime, we can go mad. Fuck the neighbours. And we'll have George Roger Boaty on maximum volume. And I'll get back to doing some dad dancing. And we'll have a bit of fun. I've been thinking about them for a while. And I mean, I can't do massively lengthy ones because there already aren't enough minutes in the day, but it would be rather fun to do some shorter ones. Ashley Stewart is here. Brilliant. Good evening to you, Ashley. Joe Cox is here. Good evening, all. Hope everyone is okay and had a splendid weekend. I hope so, too. Sophie Richardson is, oh, God, all the best people are here tonight. This is fabulous. Sophie's here and says, hi, everyone. Mark Passad, evening, Boaty and all. The flowers still look lovely, says Joe. They do, don't they? Oh, I'm so sorry. That was a hiccup, very closely followed by a burp. And I can only apologise for my body and its doings. And come to think of it, I've spent most of my adult life apologising for my body and its doings. But, yeah, Cheeseburger said, of course, they wouldn't last, and he was wrong. And Cheeseburger, of course, is in America at the moment. He is in the United States of Confusion, which means that we can talk about him behind his back. So that'll be fun. How has everyone's weekend been, asks Sophie. And Sabana says, hello and good evening as well. Would I make lots of money on OnlyFans, asked Ray, sitting here watching Boaty in my birthday suit? Well, you never know. It's worth a try. And if you are, if you do live stream yourself or film yourself or whatever watching me, then I want a cut of your profits. Hello, Boaty, says Soph, and hello to you. Oh, an early stream name suggestion. Oh, and it's a good one, and this is from Ben. We'll screenshot that. I pace my boat drinks, and that's rather clever, Ben, and a very good suggestion. Obviously, there was some sad news since I was last with you, but I addressed that in the daily diary, so we don't need to go too far into that, do we? Simon had a good weekend. He got most of the parts for Jenny the 200, so that's splendid. And Ben says, evening, fellow boatists. Oh my God, things falling on heads almost, says Grace. My sister walked out of her front door and a circular saw landed at her feet. Almost landed on her head, but didn't. Well, I mean, that raises a number of questions, doesn't it, Atra? I mean, what the hell was a circular saw doing, whizzing through the air, presumably at the behest of gravitational pull? So says, I've raised money for family charity, walking around my area and asking neighbours to donate money for family members. That's very kind of you. Well done to you, Sophie. And Trace says, oh, the saw came from the scaffolding erected next door. Gosh. No, seriously, that's bloody scary, isn't it? I mean, you know, a circular saw landing on your napper, that's going to be game over, isn't it? I mean, they're big, heavy things, and bits of them are really sharp. And apparently this happened not even 2 hours ago. Steve Cole nearly got hit on the head with an acorn today. It fell from the sky and hit the bonnet. Pingu. Hello, Pingu. Pingu says, all right, Boaty. Oh, that's terrible. I can't do Nessa. What's occurring? All right. Evening, Pingu. I hope you're well, mate. Hope you had a good weekend. Oh, and Simon won 120 quid on the lottery last week. Well, drinks are on you, mate. We need a party. Oh, and Ben says to Sabana, greetings, champion napkin folder. I can do them as well. Yes, we have to endure Mondays as well. You do, I'm afraid. Oh, we got some food news. Splendid. This is what we live for, isn't it? Bad Books. For tea, Bad Books had salmon and pasta, and Mrs. B made a very tasty cheese sauce. Well, that sounds nice if you like fish and cheese, which I don't. So Tracy's having a giggle at the sexy voice. And Simon isn't. He says his sexy voice sounds like an advert for leather-bound books. Joe has just ordered 10 litres of Bilthamber UB, which is a beer that I've never heard of, and a can of UC wax oil for the underneath of MJ. Why are you putting beer underneath MJ? Ready for the garage to get him in as soon as it arrives. Getting loads done, videos incoming. And of course, Joe is now Cars with JC, one of our community channels. Do check it out. Like, subscribe. Dance around naked, waving your underpants around your head, shouting, Cars with JC is a brilliant channel. Cars with JC is a brilliant channel. And put that on OnlyFans, you'll make a bloody fortune. I loved the video on the electric Jaguar, says Joe. Your reaction was priceless. Yeah, and it was genuine. That was, obviously, you channel members will have seen some glimpses of what will be an upcoming video, test drive review on a £71,000, rather fast Jaguar I-Pace 400 HSE Black Edition. That's it. I knew I'd remember what it was. And what that was, on the way to where we filmed the review, Steve was driving, talking me through the car, blah, blah, blah. And then he just decided to stop and do a full bore takeoff. And yeah, that was my reaction. And the car's quick. You know, on paper, it's not stupidly quick. On paper, it does 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. Now, 4.5 second 0 to 60 is not by any means slow, but you know, it's not the kind of acceleration that I'm unused to, although admittedly not for a while. But the sensation, oh, see, I knew the internet would go slow and it just did. That's something uploading to the thing. Let's just hope we don't get the circling doodad of doom. Oh, the circling doodad of doom. That'd be a good title for a porn film, wouldn't it? Yeah, but I mean, the acceleration is just terrifying and so immediate. The most shocking bit is the first half a second because the launch is just insane. But yeah, I thought I'd put that up onto the old daily diary so you can have a good laugh at my expense. That might not make it into the official test drive review video, but it will make it. There's going to be a second video with all the left out bits because there's a lot of stuff that I can't put in the main video, mostly because it's filth. But it will definitely be in that one. But I thought I'd give you guys a sneak preview. Welcome to Boaty's Burp Hick. A combined hiccup and burp, a burp hick. I like that. Oh, and I pace my boat drinks from Ben for title. Yeah, I really like that. In fact, don't. No, I was going to say don't bother putting any of this in, but yeah, I'm happy to go with that. Now, if the internet is going to go off, then I apologise. I can see that it's jerky, and in fact, I'm just going to pause for a minute in case it is playing up, and I'll give you a chance to tell me, just in case we need to turn things off or something. Actually, I will turn the Wi-Fi off on the other devices now. Bit of a preventative measure. Bear with. Settings, Wi-Fi off. Settings. No. Off. That's done. Okay, I'm just going to skim to the end of the comments and see if anybody's telling me that sound or vision is pants. Oh, I'm not that far behind, am I? Oh, I'm doing really well. I'm not far behind. I'm almost caught up. I'm on fire tonight. I'm so on it. I'm on it like a car bonnet. Splendid. Oh, well, let's just... oh, I didn't want to do that. Go away. Go away. I don't want to do that at all. Stop it. Stop being so silly. Where was I? Oh, yeah, we were seconding that video title. Yeah, I love that. Well done, Ben. That is brilliant. Bad Books checked a 2009 MX-5 Mark III 2-litre SE for a friend. One owner and a genuine 221,000 miles. Bloody hell. Phew. That's been to the moon and back, hasn't it? 6 months MOT, full service history, paintwork very tired, and a few problems, but drives great. And a jammy git paid 750 quid. Yeah, can't complain at that, can you? Anything with no roof and an MOT for under £1,000 has got to be good. Leatherbound book, Simon. Surely you must mean car folders, and a very good point there from Trace. Very well made. Built Amber is an extremely popular beer that makes laboratory that makes car products for paintwork and underneath the car. If you have watched Furious driving videos, he highly recommends it. Well, he highly recommends watching Furious driving videos. Well, he certainly does that. Okay, thank you for that, Joe, in all seriousness. Are you streetwise yet? Asks Pingu. Yes. Yes, Pingu, I am. Barney, the Streetwise, the new improved Streetwise, is just there. Pole position and looking splendid and driving unbelievably well. And even while he was still in the yard, I made some significant improvements to him. I had the best drive home. You'll see it in the daily diary. Obviously I've driven the car before. I've got a daddy long legs. Well, let's give it its proper name, shall we? I've got a crane fly whizzing around my olive oils and distracting me. And I should be professional enough to ignore it, but quite frankly, I'm not. And it's, anyway, there we are. Obviously, I've driven the car before, haven't driven it for a while. It drives better than any other 25 or 25 derivative that I've ever driven, and that crane fly is driving me absolutely insane. Come here, boy. I'm not going to hurt him, guys. I'm just going to catch him and put him outside the door. Got him. Off you go, my friend. There you go. There we go. I didn't hurt a hair on his hairy little head. He is now safely outside and no longer distracting me. I mean, I say he. I don't know how to sex a crane fly. And when I say sex, I don't mean podger. I mean how to discern the specific flavour of gender type sexuality thing on a crane fly. If any of you do let me know. Although it's outside now, so I'd have to get it back in to sex it. And now that it's outside, I'm probably not going to refer to it again. And if I do, I'll refer to it as it, as I've just done. So I don't really need to sex it at all. It kind of doesn't matter now. Although I suppose it would be useful knowledge to have, wouldn't it? Especially if it's real knowledge. I mean, somebody taught me how to sex peppers. And I don't mean how to podger peppers, how to sex them. That if it's got three, hold your pepper upside down so the stalk's at the bottom. And if it's got three booby dumplings, then it's a male. And if it's got four booby dumplings, it's a female. And one is supposed to be better for cooking, and the other is supposed to be better for serving raw in salads. And I thought that was fantastic information until I found out it's a load of bollocks. And, that was somewhat disappointing. But, I mean, the Streetwise is just sublime. Absolutely sublime. In it, bruv, adds Pingu. Joe says, working fine at the moment. Jason, see and hear you perfectly. Splendid. Diddly-do. Did you read this one, and this one, and this one? What about now? What about this one? Yes, I read them all, Simon. Swine. Yes, I can vouch for Clipbanger, says Bad Books. Responsible for my 1987 Polo being virtually rust-free and still on the road. Wait, says Joe, in quite an exclamatory way. And that's not the easiest word for a middle-aged man to say, exclamatory. It is a nice word, though. Would you like to say it with me? Come on, let's all say it together. 1, 2, 3, exclamatory. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. Nice. Wait, says Joe. You now own Barney the Streetwise? If so, congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Barney the Streetwise is now my new Arthur. And he will be commencing Arthur duties tomorrow. This very morrow. The National Cycle thing you went past my house today, says Steve. There were more police bikes. There were more police bikes than cycles. Yeah, that's about standard. Simon says, is Barney yours or are you fostering him? And is there any Stigbürt news? Okay, Barney. At the moment, Barney is 1/3 mine. The company have bought him from Mustard because he was originally a company vehicle. I sourced him. I helped broker the deal. So he was always supposed to be a company car, but Mustard wanted him as an ad hoc daily for a period. So, you know, we said, fine, no problem. So Mustard owned him. We, the company, have now bought him from Mustard, so he's 1/3 mine. I will use him as my company daily until the end of the month, when, thanks to the amazing Neil, Brian will hopefully be fixed and on the road. And at that point, I will then make a decision as what to do, whether to buy Barney out of the company and have him as my own personally owned car and part of the fleet, and sell Brian, keep Brian and use Brian as my daily, and Barney would then be a company car that's up for sale, or just buy Barney out of the company anyway and keep them both. And yeah, what I mean, it's up to you to guess what I will end up doing. Is there any Stigbürt news? No, none whatsoever. Wetleg is going to go down to the garage in as soon as possible for her MOT, and Stigbürt will then be next on the list. I've accepted that Brian is just not happening with the guys from the garage at the yard. So we're just forgetting that Brian is going to exist for this month until Neil comes up and rescues us. And obviously I did the swap over today, so Windsor Davis went to the yard, and Windsor Davis is going to be a Mustard car for the next month unless it's sold. It's going to be taxed and used along with Neddy Seagoon, Harry Seacombe. I always want to call Harry Seacombe Neddy Seagoon because I was a Goons fan. So yeah, he's going to be using both 600s over the forthcoming month, and we have named September month of the 600, or MOTS. So hashtag MOTS, and we're going to buy as many 600s as we can over this month, as well as driving them. Oh, Tracy, thank you. Don't forget to freeze your wine. That's a very good point. Let's get the wine into the old freezer. Thank you, Trace. There we go. That's done. Oh, excuse me. What the feck? And that was feck. Not being rude here. This is a family live stream-ish. What on earth did Boaty just chase out? Her little head? Was it Mustard? No, it was a crane fly, Trace, a daddy longlegs. Oh, Sophie has just ordered a Chinese as Neil is hungry. Okay, what did you order? Now, if I was ordering from a Chinese tonight, I would have hot and sour soup, beef with ginger and spring onion, and egg fried rice, and some prawn knackers. I haven't had a Chinese for so long because, well, you know, since living with Chinese madam, I've learned where to source authentic ingredients and how to cook authentic food. So even if I could afford a takeaway, which I can't, I wouldn't get one because it's always better when you make it yourself, unless you can't cook, in which case it'll be a pile of shit. But I would like to know what you and Neil have ordered, please, Sophie. A hidden message from Trace. Boaty wants to get Mustard back into Sexham. What on earth did I miss while I was sneezing? It wasn't Mustard. Pingu says Barney drives better than Shison. Possible rename to Bernardo El Toro. I do want to rename him, but I can't. Barney wasn't a Mustard name. He was named Mustard beforehand, so I can't change it, but possibly I could adapt it and say that, yeah, Barney was short for something like that, something like Bernardo El Toro. He does actually drive better than Shison. to be honest. The brakes are better. I mean, obviously, he's nowhere near as quick as Shison, and obviously, he's manual. He's different to Shison. But yeah, elements are better in fairness. Obviously, he doesn't share an engine with Shison, so there's a very, very clear difference in performance. Oh, now, I had a massive argument, not a serious argument, you know, but a massive argument with Mustard, some of which is on film, and I'll give you a little insight. And Pingu, you might know the answer to this. Right. Mustard has always maintained that the difference between the 84 brake and the 103 brake is simply and purely the throttle body, right? You've all heard him say that, seen him fit another throttle body, adapt to throttle body. Throttle body? Throttle body. Tricky chaps' words. Whereas today, I maintained, having done a little bit of research, that is not the only difference, that the 84 brake is a single overhead cam and the 103 brake is a double overhead cam. And he says that's nonsense. He says that they are both double overhead cam. And we had a long and strong... Sorry, there was a noise there. And we had a bit of an argument about that. So if anybody knows the definitive answer, then do let me know. But certainly the research that I did said quite clearly that the lower powered engine is a single cam and the higher powered engine is a double overhead cam. So if you've got anything straight, lots of stuff happened that may or may not make it to video. Mustard and I had an arm wrestling championship, which might end up on a video, but then again, it might not, because I lost with both arms, and that's quite humiliating. I don't like losing. I knew I was going to lose. I didn't want to do it. He made me do it. I've got arms like bloody pipe cleaners, and he's got arms that do things. My arms have never done anything of that nature. And I know I'm an ex-athlete, but I was a cyclist. So all of the work was done on legs and lower back. All you did with your upper body was try to make it as small and as thin as possible, so it was less weight. So obviously I haven't got any strength in my arms. And obviously he won the arm wrestling championship, as he knew that he would. So I probably won't put that on a film, and that'll jolly well serve him right. What else might not make it? Oh, yes. After lunch, I had to pay an emergency visit to the lavatory of last resort. And for a laugh, I filmed it. Genuinely filmed it, not with sound effects or anything. I genuinely filmed it just to weird and gross him out. And he has double dared me to put it on a video. And I'm really tempted. And if I do, it's Mustard's fault. Hello, Boaty and everyone, says Rodney Trotter. Good evening to you. I think, says Simon, you should buy a Streetwise sticker. Now you have a Streetwise at home. I don't need to, Simon. It's got Streetwise written on the side mouldings and on the rear mouldings, I think. But it's certainly got Streetwise written on it already. So it doesn't need any further identification, really. Hang on. We've got Rodney Trotter. We've got Delboy Trotter. And they're having a conversation between themselves. Joe says Barney is a cracking Streetwise. He really is. Quick, says Simon, jump on the Tribe coattails. There'll be plenty of folks looking for 600s now. What do you mean, jump on their coattails? We bought one before they did. They're jumping on ours. And, you know, and they're profiting from it. Oh, God. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, dear. My dream Chinese meal for me, says Trace, would be chicken chow mein, pork balls, char sweet pork, sweet and sour chicken Hong Kong style, crispy duck pancakes, extra hoisin stroke plum sauce. Not all for me. Sharing. I should bloody hope so. There's a lot of food there, Trace. Mustard is correct, says Pingu. They are both double overhead cam. The single cam 1.4 has only 74. Not according to my research, Pingu. Didn't they drop the single cam a while before the R3s? Asked Simon. Weren't they Metro era things? Not according to the research that I found, but that could be wrong. Just because it's in a book doesn't make it right, I suppose. I mean, to be honest, you know, from the very beginning of the conversation stroke argument, I thought he was right as well. But it's me and Mustard. I'm always going to disagree with him because I want him to be wrong even when he's right. I mean, he got quite excitable about it. He pulled up Nigel's bonnet and said, look, it says on it, twin cam 16 valve. And of course, Nigel started life as an 84. And we verified that by going online and looking at his online doings. So he probably is correct. I won't tell him so, though. Good evening, Sir Boaty, says Alan Jones. Hope you're well. I'm grand, Alan, and hope you're well too. Thanks for joining us. Says Simon, I saw a 211 R3 on Saturday. How rare are those? Pretty rare, I believe. And I was proudly boasting to Mustard that within my fleet, I now have every variety of K series. 1.4, 1.6, 1.8, 2 litre, and 2.5 litre. And he says, you haven't got every one, you haven't got a 1.1. Oh, bollocks, now I've got to find a 1.1. Yeah. Lovely to see you back here, Jimmy Quinn, says Trace. And Jimmy Quinn says, he gives a toss what engine it had. Oh, there we are. I have a 211 called Mantro, Simon, says Pingu. James Wilson is in our midst and says, actually, my first car was 2002 Rover 25 1.4 Impression 2, the 84 brake horsepower version. And on the plastic cover, it said twin cam. 103 was a standard 1.4, and they limited it for potential cheaper insurance. Oh, right, there we are. My childhood dog, Snowy, hated Harry Seacombe's singing, says Bad Books. Used to howl and attack the telly. Oh, dear. He had a beautiful voice, Neddy Seagoon. What are you on about? Your dog has got appalling taste. The 1.4 8 valve was in the 200, the R3, says James. The 16 valve was in the 25, including the 1.1. Right, okay. Thank you, Jimmy. I was late, Tracy. I was watching my dog having a poo, and it reminded me Boaty was doing a live stream. Thank you so much. I love you, Bad Book, says Trace, for that randomness tonight. Oh, it was for sale, so you're in luck, says Simon, talking about the 211, but was it silver? Got to keep him on his toes, and Mustard's car is called Harry Seacombe. It certainly is, except that I always think of it as Neddy Seagoon. I did used to enjoy the goons, and I have caught up with all of your comments, which is a tremendous thing. It means that I can have a little break, a little addiction break. Jolly good. So oh, hello. Mike's here, Classic Wheels Wells, and he's suggesting his standard video title, which comes as absolutely no surprise and certainly won't be used. Oh, yeah, it'll be 1 o'clock soon. I'm looking forward to that. Hasn't it been warm today? Hasn't it been warm? We were sweating our what's-it off at the yard today. Oh, gosh, it was so warm. Oh, and we had a brilliant lunch. The only downside to lunch was that I paid for it. But what improvements did you make to the streetwise, I hear you ask? Oh, hang on. We've got a few more comments to come in first. I'd sooner have a 25 1.1. That would be the 1.1 for me, says James. But then again, a 1.1 is a bit of a small engine. for the rather big and focus-sized R3, even though it was the most powerful 1.1 available. Right, okay. And he then goes on to ask, why didn't they put the 1.1 in the City Rover? Well, because the City Rover came with an engine already in it. And of course, Rover had no involvement per se in building the City Rover. They simply bought it as a completed car. It was built, of course, by Tata in India. It was because the City Rover is actually the Tata oh God, I was going to call it IndyCar then. Indica, the Tata Indica. And they simply just put a few different things on it and flogged it at twice what they paid for it, or damn well tried to anyway. They had to bring the price down a bit when sales weren't going well because it got slated in reviews for being an appalling car, which of course it was. But yeah, it already had an engine in it, and that was a Peugeot-derived unit, so they weren't going to spend any money playing about with that. So yeah, that's what happened with the City Rover, and Rover even welched on the deal, because part of the deal of them being able to buy the Tata IndyCar and rebrand it as a Rover is that they were supposed to play a significant part in marketing the Tata something or other, pickup truck of some nature in the UK. And there is no historical evidence of them having done so in any substantive form whatsoever. So, yeah, I mean, I still want a City Rover. I've never driven one. Obviously, everybody who has says that they're absolutely appalling. They also seem to rot away to buggery, and they've got all sorts of inherent faults with them, which is not surprising given they were a car that cost about £123 to build. But I would at least like to drive one, and I think I'd like to own one, just as, just for shits and giggles, really. 36 degrees here in Bude, says Joe. Goodness gracious me. Where did we get to? Here we are. I'm not sure which stream Jimmy's talking about here. He says, Tracy, the late stream on Saturday night was different. It ended at 3:20. God, very different. Whose stream was that? Bad Book says, sweating like a glass blower's ass in sunny East Anglia. Another video title from Mike, enough toss to last a lifetime. The weather is great in Gorleston today, says Jimmy. Whose live stream were we talking about? Trace fell asleep, whoever's it was. Good evening, says Simone of Hooked on Classics, and a very good evening to you. Tata, makers of steel and tea bags, says Simon. Pingu says, my 211 has 60 PS, which is fine until you get to a hill, but it outhandles most Muppets in their modern tanks. And Simone says, Boaty, if you buy one, get it wax oil, talking about City Rovers. Yeah, absolutely. Mark Poop is live. Who the hell is Mark Poop? You're all talking about people that I don't even know. The Rover TCV concept was awesome, says James. You could put a washing machine in the back, so innovative and forward-thinking. Rover were, I think, the most innovative. There was perfect space for a washing machine. Okay. Simon says, how many cars will it take before your neighbours get fed up a bit of there being nowhere to park? Well, there's later space to park, Simon. I mean, the one thing we're blessed with here is space. I could put another 30 cars on the road and it would make no difference whatsoever to anybody. I've been sweating like a pig in a slaughterhouse today, says Simone. Saturday live stream, Boaty. One of my viewers went live after my stream and Jimmy watched until 3:20 a.m. So it must have been good. Oh, it was your stream. Right, I get it now. I wondered what on earth you were rattling on about. Going back to that Jaguar, I so want one of the. Oh, bloody hell, a spider running around my table now. Something else to distract me. Splendid. I really want one of those Jaguars. What an amazing car. And having now spent a good few hours driving an electric car, I'm a massive fan. I'm a massive fan. I would take an electric car over a petrol one every single day of the week. They are brilliant. And the the one pedal driving thing, that is a revelation. What a genius thing it is. For those of you who don't know, who just aren't aware of it or have never driven an EV or whatever, you can set the regeneration mode. And if you set it to maximum, then as soon as you take your foot off the accelerator, the car will effectively brake because it's using the kinetic energy to convert that into electricity with which to charge the batteries, right? So it's using the forward movement of the car to create electrical energy to replenish the batteries and extend your range. And that is just a genius thing. Now, it takes a mile or two to get used to, but it means that you drive only using the accelerator pedal. 99.9% of the time, you do not need to use the brake because you, if you're coming to a corner, you just ease up on the throttle a bit, and you feather the throttle accordingly, and the car will slow down. If you want to come to a complete stop, then you just lift off the accelerator, and the car will gradually come to a complete stop. So under normal circumstances, you don't need to be touching the brake at all. And that is absolutely brilliant on so many levels. One, it's just so much easier to drive. Okay, takes a couple of miles to get used to, but once you do, so much easier to drive, so much more comfortable. Two, it extends the range of the car, and obviously range anxiety is a thing with electric vehicles. Three, it's much kinder on the parts of the car. It's much kinder on brakes and on tires. Significantly reduces wear on both, on replaceable parts like brake pads, but, it also just reduces wear on the entire braking system. It's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I can't tell you how much of a fan I really, really am. And I'm going to be driving quite a range of electric vehicles over the coming weeks and months because I'm very keen to drive some cheaper ones. Obviously, jumping into a £71,000 Jaguar, it's going to be a nice car. And indeed, I mean, it was a fantastically lovely car. I'm not used to driving modern cars. I haven't driven modern cars for many, many, many years. Certainly the newest Jaguar I've driven was my 2006 S-Type or X-Type. And it was just a revelation. The quality of the build, the quality of the interior, the technology that's in there. It's extraordinary. But yeah, obviously, if you jump into a 71 grand Jag, it's going to be a nice thing. So I'm keen to drive a more entry level EV, somewhere around the 35 grand, to see if I still get the same incredible sense of enjoyment and pleasure from driving that. And that is going to be happening in a few weeks' time. Me and Big Steve, we've got plans for content. And on that subject, I hope you enjoy another video with Big Steve. You've met him before. You remember Big Tall Steve, of course. Perhaps you've chatted with him in the Facebook group. He's the big, tall, 6'7" chap that I filmed the Fiat 500 video with. And you might get to see a three-way because he may be coming for a yard day next Monday. In which case you'll get the three of us for the price of two. But that might not happen because we might be on an epic acquisition adventure next Monday, and it's going to be even longer than the one we went on last Monday, but almost in the same place, but a little bit further, Norwich way, I think, right on the east coast, and I'm really hoping that comes off, because it's a car that I am really keen to buy. It'll be absolutely perfect for us, much like Windsor Davis. It's a really superb example that deserves to be loved and deserves to find an amazing new home. And those are the sort of cars that I want to be featuring for Mustard and Boaty Do Cars. You know, we started off, when we started the idea last year, pretty much dealing with sheds or near sheds, and I just like the idea of getting some more classic, some nicer examples, and I'm really enjoying doing that. So obviously, you know, Fanny was a fantastic example of the car that's incredibly rare and will only increase in value. The same is true of Windsor Davis, an incredibly rare car now, a 623 GSI. A really nice example, you know, cars with show car potential, really, or best car potential, you know what I mean? So it's stuff like that that I'm particularly looking for, and this would very much be one of those. So we're in the negotiation stage at the moment, or rather Mustard is, because he's in charge of the doings on this one. Windsor Davis, I did. This one Mustard is doing, and I've not been involved as yet. But if we can make it happen, then we will be going on an epic road trip next Monday. And we will be learning from our mistakes. We will be having only one stop for a wee stroke poo stroke cigarette on the way there. I will be taking my mid-morning snack with me, not going off in search of hot sausage rolls at overly populated service stations. That means we lose 40 minutes of time. No, none of that. It's going to be much more streamlined, and we will finally have either we'll be in contact on the way back in separate cars, either via a live phone on loudspeaker over Bluetooth, or if something happens, that hoping will happen, we will have walkie-talkies, and that would be a lot of fun. And again, we will be refining our food. I will be using my new food flask again and taking a similar but improved version of what I had last time. And Mustard will be again doing the engine warming stroke cooking technique, but it will be something different that needs warming rather than cooking from raw. So yeah, I'm just fingers crossed that happens, because it'll be a great fun day, and it's a car that I really want us to own. Excuse me. And it will make an absolutely fantastic car for one of you, lucky luck. Now, where did I get to? Diddly-doo. Here we are, yes. Simone is currently editing a film that she made today, jolly good. And she had chicken noodles for dinner. God almighty, you want to talk about noodles? Right. Do you remember, some of you, most of you, some of you, do you remember, I can't remember what video it was on, probably a daily diary or something. I showed you some noodles that I bought that were imported from Nepal, and they're supposed to be like the hottest noodles you can get. Do you remember I showed you? I'm going to show you it. Right. These fellows here. Well. I finally tried them for lunch on Saturday, I think it was. And you're going to think that I'm exaggerating, and I promise you I'm not. I couldn't eat all of them, I'll be honest. I had to give up. And the next thing I had to do was go and have a shower because I was drenched, literally from head to foot. The table was drenched in sweat. Oh my God. These are hot noodles. And for the rest of the afternoon and the evening, I was constantly in pain. Thought it was a heart attack at first. It's not. It's some form of spice-based indigestion. God help us, they are hot. Oh, they are hot. Now they're really nice noodles because they're not the normal ramen noodles that you would expect. They probably are ramen noodles, but they're not the ones that you would expect that you normally get in normal noodles. They're about 3 times the thickness, so they're probably actually dried egg noodles, actually, rather than ramen noodles. So that's a little bit nice and a little bit different. But so I'm going to eat them all, and I'm going to order some more. But I'm not using all of the sauce. They come with like sort of powdered and whole spices. They're fine, not a problem with them. Cumin seed, ground cumin, that sort of thing. But then they come with this sauce, and it's a big thing of sauce, the same size as that packet. And of course, I used all of it, didn't I? And I knew I was in trouble when I've got them in my chow mein pan, my favorite pan, my chow mein pan. And as I'm standing there, just, stirring them about a bit, and the aroma, the fumes are just coming up as this sauce is heating, right? Just the fumes alone were making the sweat pour off me, and they were prickling all of my passages. There's another porn title film, wouldn't it? Prickling all of my passages. Should do that, really. We were talking about that today, doing porn films, me and Mustard. Well, not me and Mustard. We were talking about individually making porn films. So yeah, when that was happening, I thought could be in trouble here. So next time I eat them, I am not going to deploy all of the sauce. I reckon rather than, I think probably a quarter of the sauce would be more than enough. And I'll seal the rest of it in some kind of nuclear-proof container before I put it in the bin, because that could do a lot of damage. I saw the spider going upwards. Have you 2 spiders in there, asked Grace? There are millions of spiders in the. I mean, it's a rural cottage. Of course, there are spiders everywhere, and keeping on top of the spiders' webs, by which I mean not literally keeping on top of them, but taking them down. I mean, I don't want to disturb the spiders' home, and I'm happy to share my home with the spiders, but I am a bit particular about where I allow their webs to be. So yeah, most of the inside webs, well, all of the inside webs that I find, I do take down. The ones that are outside or on the doors or whatever, obviously they're fine, not a problem with them. Sweating like a pregnant nun, says Brad Books. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. Simone says, how are you supposed to do an emergency stop with only one pedal? That's stupid. Well, clearly you're not, Simone. What I was talking about was a method called one pedal driving. It doesn't mean that there's only one pedal in the car. Cast your mind back and you'll remember that I said 99.9% of the time the brake pedal is redundant and you don't need to go anywhere near it. However, the brake pedal is still there. And on the 0.1% of the time where you do need it, obviously you would use it. So it's a driving method, not an equipment thing. They don't only have one pedal. And I've just noticed it's 1 o'clock, and that's splendid. I'm looking forward to this. I shall just polish my glass with this purpose-made glass polishing cloth, which came from my favourite glass warehouse on the island of Gozo, where not only can you buy glass items, but you see them being made and then you buy them. Or you tell the nice glass people what you would like and they make it for you and then you purchase it. So splendid. I'm genuinely looking forward to this. It's been a long, hot day. Very enjoyable. Very enjoyable indeed. Thank you again to Trace for the reminder to freeze my wine, and I will now pour a glass. Hopefully, I haven't still got the taste of rinty on my mouth. Actually, I'll go and rinse my mouth out with water so I get the full wine effect. There we go. Pardon me while I wipe my chops. Tap that like, says Pingu, and Boaty will get his socks out. Oh, we haven't seen him for a while, have we? Hope he's okay, the lovely Michael. Right, cheers, darlings. You're very good health. It's lovely to be back with you. Yeah, hope you're all doing absolutely splendidly. And here's to another week of fun and other stuff. I'm sure a lot of us are at work. Are the kids back at school yet? Are the mothers all cheering? Did the kids go, was it today that the kids went back to school, actually? I heard something on the news about the schools crumbling down and being forced to shut or something. Anyway, cheers. Oh, God, that's nice. That really is nice. Somebody's done a nice thing. Who has done a nice thing? Mike, the little tinker, has sent me very kindly a £5 super chat with the note, video title, I hate myself. Mike, you lovely, lovely man. Thank you very much indeed for that. Now, if we didn't, this is genuine, if we didn't already have a fantastic video title that I love, then I would genuinely call tonight's video title that, right? But I'm not going to. However, as you've bunged a £5 my way, Mike, very kindly, thank you again, I will call tomorrow's live stream, I hate myself. And I hope that you will consider that money well spent. So it won't be this one, Mike, but I promise you, that tomorrow's live stream will be called I Hate Myself. And if anybody would like to bung me a £5 to name another live stream with some embarrassing title, feel free. I'm poor. I'll do anything for money. I still laugh when I think back to, God, it must be last year now. And I'm sitting in the car with Mustard. And I can't remember what I said, but I said something like, would you say that so-and-so, blah, blah, such and such? And he said, no, I wouldn't say that. And then for whatever reason, I said, but would you say it for a tenner? And he looked at me and in this wistful voice, he said, I'd do anything for a tenner. And that kind of makes me laugh and feel a bit sad at the same time, because it's true of both he and I. We're both always so on the verge of absolute poverty. And by that, I mean, we're both either in a situation or on the verge of a situation where something that should be paid isn't going to be paid, that 90% of the time we would both do anything for a tenner. And that just really tickled me. It was the way he said it. Like, he wasn't joking. It was just so wistful. I'd do anything for a tenner. I thought, I totally get that. I totally get that. Oh, that is nice. Bad Book says, I've been in a Jaguar E-Pace taxi. Very comfy. Colleague has a Tesla but drives like a tosser, so never been driven in it. Tesla have very awkward door handles inside and out. The Jag had amazing door handles. I presume they're similar to a Tesla. They're that, you open the car after doings and the door handles slide out. Amazing. And the doors, my God, different world to the things that I drive every day. These big old, they're like the walls of the cottage, the doors on this Jaguar. They're like that. Amazing. Boaty says, Jimmy, are you going to drive a Dodgem? I would love to drive a Dodgem. I would love to drive a Dodgem. I haven't been in a Dodgem for years. And, actually, I have, haven't I? At Gulliver's Kingdom in Matlock Bath with Boo and Little Miss. So it's not that long ago. It's probably only 3 or 4 years. I've completely forgotten about that, but I love Dodgems. My favourite Dodgems used to be the ones at Dudley Zoo. And I'm going back to when I was a child here. And if you whistled the wheel all the way round, you could drive them backwards. And I thought that was brilliant. Never found that with any other Dodgems, but I think if I ever won the lottery or something like that, I'd have my own Dodgems, but instead of just having them in a square, I'd make a track, like a go-karting track, but for Dodgems. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? And we could have parties there and we all get drunk and race the Dodgems. I'd love that. That'd be fantastic. Simone says, all these screens and crap in modern cars are pointless shite. I don't need that crap in TC. Well, I agree that you don't need it in TC, Simone, but I don't agree that they're pointless shite. Quite the opposite. Now, in the Jag, then your rear view mirror was not a rear view mirror at all. It was a screen, and there is a rearward pointing camera housed in the fin in the roof, and that was incredible. Was it better than a mirror? Yes, it was. Then there's a massive, big old widescreen underneath that. You'll see all of this in the video, of course, or some of you will have owned a vehicle like this, or will have driven one, or been driven in one, and you'll know. And that screen does all sorts of clever and useful things, including when you knock it into reverse, you've got a secondary camera that's housed just above the number plate. And that gives you very exact this, that, and the other. And it does all sorts of clever things with your phone. And then in the display in front of you, you've got all of the information that you need when you're driving an electric vehicle, showing whether you're charging or using power, showing your range, all of that. A very good sat nav screen in there. So I wouldn't call any of that pointless shite. I would call it useful stuff, but each to their own. I don't think I've ever seen a silver EV, says Bad Books. James says, nope, petrol and diesel only for me. In terms of a Jag, nothing beats the XF and XJ. And one day I will hopefully have an XM. I would love an XFR with a lovely V8 roar. Norwich says, Trace, Jimmy Quinn is coming to get you. Pingu says Hubnet liked the I-Pace too, but could not get on with the crap charging network on his long road trip. Well, the Jaguar dealership very kindly, so no, it was Steve's company, provided an app, which is an exceptionally good app, and I've got screen recordings of the app in use, so you can see all of this. So basically, the app knows what vehicle you're driving, blah, 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 what connections and whatnot it needs. And it will not only come up with a map of suitable chargers, but it will even tell you, if there's a couple near you, it will show you which ones are being used and which ones are not. So you can go to one that it's free, and you simply hook up and get 200 miles worth of range in about 20 minutes on a fast charge. And I was looking on the app, there are loads of them. Now, Steve is driving that Jaguar up to Scotland, up to the wilderness in Scotland, and he's not going to have a problem. There are loads and loads of charging points. We went to McDonald's for lunch. There were charging points there that were compatible. We drove past Safeways, charging points, Tesco, charging points. They're just everywhere these days. So, I know that has been a thing. And Steve was explaining to me, as you'll see in the longer form video with the behind the scenes stuff, he was explaining some of the reasons why the charging network has not come on at the kind of pace that one might hope it would. And there are reasons behind that. But God knows it's getting there. It is getting there. And remember that sales of new petrol and diesel cars, we're what, 6 years away, 7 years away? It's really 6 years and a bit, and finished, gone. So electric vehicles might not be the future. I think that's going to be hydrogen, but they're certainly going to be the next phase. And I can tell you, they're brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. Well, certainly the one I've driven was. And I'm going to be driving more to find out if they're all brilliant. I agree, Simone, says Simon. The tech is already naff when it's released. It's another way to get folk to renew every 3 months. And then he says years, not months. No, I know. You have to renew them every 3 years, so you do. People renew their phone, they renew their iPad, they like it. So what's the difference? It's amazing. All of those toys and gadgets in there are phenomenal, brilliant. Why would you not embrace progress? When sat-navs were introduced, everybody said, what's the point of that? I don't need a sat-nav. I don't need it in my car. Now everybody uses sat-nav, whether it's on their phone, whether they use GPS, whether it's on their phone or on a sat-nav device in their car or whatever, everybody uses it. When smartphones were introduced, why would anybody want that? Why would anybody want a phone with a camera in it? Now, So whenever you introduce something new, there will always be those who will say, oh, it's no good or it's pointless. But I drove that vehicle and I just never wanted to drive anything else. And I found all of the toys and things in there useful, fascinating, interesting, and incredibly worthwhile. And the only downside of my time with that Jaguar, the only sadness is that I can't have one. Funnily enough, last night Bernard said, so come on then, how was the Jag? And I said, oh God, I loved it. And I raved about it for some while. And she said, so when are you buying one then? I said, at £71,000. No time soon, darling. And she said, no, so you don't know. You never know. Yeah. she thinks the channel might do all right at some point. But and I thought, oh, that's very sweet. Thank you very much. But then I thought, well, if the channel ever did get to the stage where I could look at buying a £71,000 Jaguar, I probably wouldn't need to buy a £71,000 Jaguar. I would presumably be big enough that I could go to a Jaguar dealership and say, hello, I'd like one of your Jaguars, please, to have on a long-term test. 6 months should be okay. Thank you very much. One of those gold ones over there, if you don't mind. But I thought it was very sweet of her to say. The price of electric is cheaper to a petrol car or diesel, says Jimmy Quinn, and he's quite right. James says petrol and diesel cars can last a lifetime. I don't see electric cars lasting more than 10 years without needing a new battery. Plus, the creation of an electric car involves so many emissions. How many petrol and diesel cars do you see lasting a lifetime, James? You've had to sell one, have you not? Because it was not viable for you or whatever. I mean, in theory they can, but in reality, do they? No, they get scrapped. And I don't know any facts and figures on this, and I've certainly not done any research into it. But I would have thought that an electric car is likely to be more functional for longer because they're a less complicated thing, aren't they, than a combustion engine? Surely. The only tablets in my car are painkillers, says Simone. Incredibly rare cars, says Simon, seem to be everywhere these days. As soon as you change something, it becomes rare. Oh, right. Right, well, if you're talking about the ones that I've spoken about, then the 623 GSI, okay, the website isn't reliable, but apparently there are 53 left. And I would say that makes it rare. The 45 V6, there are 41 left or whatever it is now. I'd call that rare. The one that we're hopefully buying next Monday, it's rare. So, you know, you might choose to argue that it's not, I suppose, but in my mind it is. So I'll call them rare. You know, it depends on your parameters. I was talking about this on video today, actually. Many of us here in this community, oh God. We drive our own MG Rovers, and we are friends with people who drive and own MG Rovers. So we probably don't think of them as rare. We're all parts of groups, communities that are based around MG Rovers. So we probably don't think of them as rare at all. But think of this. Mustard and I drove for however many hours it was a week ago today. So we drove a lot of hours and a lot of miles. Well, I think Mustard ended up doing 650 miles, something like that. And between us, we were driving for like 12 hours. We saw one Rover. One. Doesn't that make them rare? Surely it does. And then if you find a particular Rover, where the attrition rate, where they were made in smaller numbers, or the attrition rate has been particularly high, like the 45 V6, like the 623 GSI, and there are literally only tens of them left on UK roads. Surely that makes them rare. I think that's a fair comment, but hey ho. Don't freeze your wine, says Trace. Thank you, Trace. I'll keep an eye on it. James says, but the most eco-friendly way is drive a petrol or diesel car that has already been made. Sadiq Khan is causing a nightmare in London, killing off so many lovely cars that are clean enough. Yeah, well, that's a reasonable argument. I mean, ecologically, it's certainly sound to drive older cars for as long as possible, and I think there should be more incentives to do so. But that's not going to be suitable for everybody, is it? I mean, there are logistical reasons why new cars are going to be needed. Malta is a perfect example. Malta's national bus service was fleets of vintage buses, vintage UK buses from the 30s, 40s, 50s. And, they were still going and they were doing fine. And they were a tourist attraction. But, eventually they had to be replaced by modern ones. Well, actually, they were replaced by bendy buses bought from London, all of which caught on fire. Some of them because the articulation section in the middle was problematical on the small and twisty Maltese streets. And that caused some of them to catch fire. And the ones that didn't catch fire for that were set on fire by the drivers because they hated them. So they were put in a quarry for, oh God, about a year. And then they were sold in a private auction and ended up somewhere in the Emirates. Not sure exactly where. And it was an incredibly corrupt deal. Some Maltese politicians did awfully well out of that. Bad Book says, my 2023 company car does not show the mileage while you drive. Air conditioning has a mind of its own. Lane control goes bonkers. A load of toss. All right, jolly good. Bullshit noodle, says Jimmy. Never had them. God, you want to try these, Jimmy? There are some big tubs of hot noodles, says Simon. I can just about eat them. Look like the same package as those little ones. James says, nothing beats chicken and mushroom pot noodles. Nothing beats chicken and mushroom pot noodles. Fair enough, James. I'm not going to argue with you. You're absolutely right. I can think of nothing that beats chicken and mushroom pot noodles. Certainly beats anything on our restaurant menu. We should just serve chicken and mushroom pot noodles with posh, nicely folded napkins. That was nice. When I think of Norwich, I think of Alan Partridge. Wine time, alert, alert, alert. And Simon says, sometimes wine times are late times for wine times indeed. Then Mike Bung with the fiver, and I've got to name tomorrow's video, I Hate Myself, which I will do. Kids are back last week in some places, says Trace, and Wednesday in others. It's Wednesday here in London. Oh, okay. Bugger the school run, says Steve, except he didn't say bugger. Yes, says Bad Books. Kids back to school, uniforms costing a fortune. Now the kids need hard hats and steel toe cap boots. And I take it that's a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that schools that have been built with a certain type of concrete, which apparently isn't concrete. Somebody on Radio 4 explained it like this, and I thought this was a brilliant way of explaining it, right? The problem is this pseudo-concrete material, which is some form of, I can't remember what it's called, but it's some form of aerated concrete. And the way this guy explained it, and I thought this was genius, I'll top up my wine in a minute and make sure it's not frozen. He said proper concrete, as you and I know it, is like a Yorkie bar. This stuff is like an aero. It's full of holes and air. And it's something like oh God, I can't remember what he said, 10% actual concrete and 90% air, something like that. And perhaps unsurprisingly, something that is built, buildings that are built with 90% air apparently stand a chance of falling down. So they don't want the kids in them. So there you are. Were the bottles of wine I got you any good? Asks Joe, as I don't drink much white. Joe, to be honest with you, they're in pride of place on my wine stand. I'm waiting for a special occasion to drink them. I don't get nice wine very often. So when I do, I tend to, I like to have a couple of nicer bottles for some sort of special occasion. So I'm saving them, Joe, is the answer to that. But when I do drink them, I'm sure they will be fantastic. I'm also saving the wine that Rob bought me, bless him. And that's Rob Hedgehog, of course. Fanny's new daddy. I don't think he's here tonight, but I hope he's doing jolly well. Hope Fanny's doing jolly well as well. Oh, and here are the new keys. Now, this key is the key that we had with the car. And as you can possibly see, it's not original. And Mustard was concerned that it was a little bit twisted. And he didn't trust it. He thought this could snap off. So he bought this key, a new key. And I said to him, did you go to our emporium of choice, the lovely Emma at Gold Lines in Milnrow? And he says, no, I didn't. I was in Bury with the family and I went to Timpson's. And then he stopped and looked thoughtful and said, how much did you pay for the MGF key that you got from Emma? I said, £5. He said, oh. He said, that cost me 20 in Timpson's. And so the moral of that story is support your local store rather than going to a national chain. Where possible, shop local, support your local people. So there we go. I have got a spare key. I've only got one remote fob with Barney and it's a Pectron. So that's a little bit concerning, but we'll just have to hope for the best, basically. Now, once I knew I was getting Barney, I was excited because, of course, Barney came with roof bars, and I thought, brilliant. The roof bars will come off Barney, they will go onto Miss Boo, and then I just need to get a cheap roof box, and I can get all of my Land Rover lunch stuff up on the roof box, as was the plan, with a tent. And then I've got a fully equipped Land Rover with room in the back, and I can go on this bloody camping trip that you lot are going to have a laugh at me about. And the back of Miss Boo will be empty so that I can sit in there and shelter from the rain or do whatever, or put extra stuff in there, whatever I need to do. But Mustard decided that he would take the roof bars off and keep them as a bonus because he enjoyed getting out and about on his bicycle. So I haven't got the roof bars, which, you know, hey ho. I would prefer genuine original Land Rover Freelander ones, to be fair. And just waiting for a set to go. I mean, they come up for 20 quid on Facebook. They're like 60 quid on eBay or even 100 quid. But there are some on Facebook for like 20 quid. But so far they've always been too far away. Although there is a set for 40 quid in that is nearby in what's it called? Where the girls are, you know, the MG Rover near Matt _ I keep wanting to say Uttoxeter, and of course it's not Uttoxeter, it's the other side, Ilkeston. And he's asking 40 quid. So I might have a look on Facebook tomorrow, see if they're still there, and offer him a cheeky 20 quid for them. So I would like to get the Land Rover all properly Land Rovered up with the roof box. And to get my own back, then obviously I handed Windsor Davis over today, and Windsor Davis had a rather lovely Rover key ring. So I nicked that and put another one on there. Hold on, where did I get to? Here we are. Don't you have enough room for I hate myself after the end of Ben's suggestion? Have a try. I probably have tries, actually. So, yeah. Yeah, I could do that, couldn't I? I could do that. Make Mike happy. I don't want to think about a school run until I'm into my mid-30s and 40s. I'm only 22 on Saturday. School felt ages since. I had the massive unluck of my first day at high school being my 12th birthday. Well, James, you don't need to think about a school run at all if you don't have children. If you do have children, then whatever age you are, you're going to be thinking about them. And been there, done that. Now, I was lucky. I lived through the halcyon days of school runs because when I was doing school runs, Teddy Wogan was on the wireless. And that made them okay. Boaty, says Simone, have you driven a hearse? If not, would you drive one? Yes, I have, and yes, I would like one. I bought a hearse for shits and giggles, really. And I was married at the time, and obviously a family man, and I bought a hearse. Actually, I bought a Citroen CX Familiar, or was it a Safari? It was a CX estate, anyway. And all of my loving family said, for goodness sake, get rid of that thing. It looks like a hearse. Apart from my wife, who was incredibly well educated, had a PhD and everything, but she was Irish and she had weird word things. Like I told you before, she always called a windscreen a window screen. It was just the Irish in her. And she called a hearse a hearst. Don't ask me why, but she always did. But they all said that the CX estate looked like a hearse, and they bullied me into getting rid of it. So to teach them a lesson, I went onto eBay and I bought an actual hearse. And I had plans for this hearse. My idea was to buy a coffin and put the coffin in the back of the hearse, or hearst, if you were Maggie. And then me and the wife and the kids could have a bit of fun. So put one of them in the coffin, the rest of us dressed in black in the front, and we could go to a McDonald's drive-through, order our meals, and then say, Doris, do you want anything? And a voice would come out of the coffin in the back of the hearse saying, yeah, I'll have a Big Mac and fries. And I just thought that would be absolutely hilarious. I mean, it would be funny enough, a hearse with a fully dressed coffin going into a McDonald's drive-through. But then I thought that would be the icing on the cake. And I thought that was hilarious. I also wanted to go to the council tip in the hearse, all dressed in black, and, ceremoniously pull up, open the back of the hearse. It was an Austin Princess hearse, by the way. Open the back of the hearse, pull the coffin out between us, and go up to one of the skips and say, which skip does this go in, mate? And stuff like that. And my family didn't think it was quite as funny as I did. And I had to sell the hearse, unfortunately. I made money. I did make money on it. So good question, Simone. Thank you for reminding me of that. How much would you need to clear your debts and be back floating without a hole in your hull? Asked Pingu. Oh, God, I don't even want to think about that. I don't even want to think about how much that is, Pingu. Let's think. Everything, high four figures or low five figures? I would have thought. Yeah, something around that neck of the woods. So could be worse, but could be a lot better. I mean, when you're earning well, that's not a massive amount of debt to sustain, really, but I'm not earning well. So it's like, you know, if you need £2 and you've only got £1, it's only a pound difference, but the reality is you haven't got the money that you need. And yeah, that is the truth of it. Yeah, hopefully things will get better. I'm working hard. I'm working every hour that God sends, and I'll carry on doing so. And I'm always optimistic that one day something wonderful will happen. And in the meantime, you just crack on as best you can. Sat-nav, says James, aren't that great? As an XF sat-nav constantly needs updating, and to me it's still a brand new car. But the X250 last update for the sat-nav was for 2020. So I like to see the nightmare for iPace. Well, of course, sat-navs need updating because roads update all the time. That's how they work. I mean, I always ran TomToms. And see, that's the thing. I have been a sat-nav man since sat-nav came in, and I've been a TomTom man always. And, you get the lifetime updates. You update them every 3 months. And I've been sat-nav free for maybe 6 months now, because, and this is possibly sad in a way, I've got to this stage where I only seem to go to places that I know where I am, so I don't really need that thing sitting on my windscreen. And when I do need directions, I've discovered maps on my iPhone. And if your iPhone is plumbed into the car, then brilliant. You just get a voice kicking in over your stereo, whatever you're listening to at the moment, that gives you instructions. I don't need to be looking at the screen, well, very often or indeed ever. As you know, some of the time at work, when we haven't got a driver, I have to deliver food, but I know where all of our customers live. I've been, we're not a massive restaurant. We service like a 10-mile radius, and we've got an incredibly loyal customer base. And I know where everybody lives. And if it's a new customer and I don't know where they live, they're going to live near to somebody else who is a customer. And I just know everywhere. And I don't need sat-nav now. I sold all of my TomToms, and I've kept one just in case, but I don't use it. And I don't have a visible thing on the screen, on the windscreen. I've decided that I don't like it. If I need directions to somewhere, I have it on the iPhone, but it's only a voice thing. I don't have the screen because I prefer not being distracted by by looking at the screen rather than by looking at where you're going. I'm not sure that's a great thing. And also, I've listened to a lot of programs on the wirelessness on Radio 4 talking about a certain part of the brain, and that part of the brain is atrophying in human beings because it's part of the brain that's not being used anymore. And according to their historical tests, this part of the brain, that I can't remember what it's called, but it was always the most highly developed in London black cab drivers. It's the part of the brain that has to figure out, I've got to get from this place to that place. And you've got to figure out how to get there in the most effective way. And that's something, when I thought about it, that's something that I've always enjoyed doing. And I realized that I wasn't using that part of my brain either. I'd stopped thinking about those things. I'm old enough that, um, I remember the days of having your AA Road Atlas in the car, maybe on the back parcel shelf, slightly yellowed from age. I mean, God Almighty, I had OS maps, and I loved OS maps. I loved orienteering. I really enjoyed that. And you used to plan your routes, and that was brilliant, and that was a pleasure. And I realised I wasn't having that anymore. Or even when you're on familiar roads, you're in somewhere where but you need to get from one place to another place, right? And you've not planned it. You're here, and for whatever reason, you need to get from here to here, and you have to think how to do it. I wasn't doing it. I was just, hello, Tom Tom, give them the address, and then you just follow the Tom Tom, and you don't think. And, I'm of an age where dementia is probably only around the corner. And I'm relatively convinced that the more active your brain is, then the more likely it is to stave off age or alcohol-induced dementia, both of which are just around the corner from me. And getting rid of the sat-navs was brilliant because I love having to think. I love that process of thought. Those are my favourite bits. Right, I'm here. How do I get to there in the quickest, most time and distance effective way? And I love having that thought process. And I really enjoy that. I'll never go back to slavishly following a sat nav. I had stopped thinking, and I'm going to buy a road atlas. I haven't got one, haven't had one for many years, but I'm going to buy one because this might make me sound sad, but I used to read road atlases for pleasure. Yeah, I said that, for pleasure. And I would just look at places and look at roads, and I loved them. And I could be fascinated for hours. I'm going to buy one, and I'm going to start planning road trips in the old-fashioned way. Yes, I am. Ugh. Where did we get to? Oh, time has marched on. We've been going an hour and 3/4. That's where I got to. Don't mention underscore, says Steve. Why not? James says, I bet the L322 is the same as well, and the iPace will be down the line. Whatever. Every sat nav over 10 years will be the same. They need updating, that's all. I thought, says Simon, the charging points weren't common enough, and the charge price is getting close to fuel price now, and the zero tax is due to be dropped, and they mostly seem to be subs. Whatever subs are. Yeah, but they drive better. So, if you're a driving enthusiast and you've got something that drives better, why wouldn't you go with that, Simon? And trust me, this Jaguar, electric Jaguar, drove better than any car I've ever driven. It was incredibly fast. It was incredibly quiet. It was incredibly refined, and it was incredibly easy and comfortable to drive. What is there to complain about? It's just better. So, subs, not subs. I would love this. Rob Hedgehog. I didn't think you were here, Rob. I did mention you earlier. I'll let you have a drive in my electric car, Boaty. I would love that. I would absolutely love that because your electric car is even quicker than the Jaguar. And obviously, I've never been within a million miles of a Tesla. No sod all about them. I would love to have a drive of it. I would love to make a video on it. And I would love to do the research that would give me the reason to actually research Tesla. And it's something that we talk a lot about, and I'm sure that I and most other people are very aware of Elon Musk for the Twitter doings, if nothing else. I would love to have a reason to research the company, and I would love to drive that car. So let's meet up at halfway and have lunch or something, or come and have a weekend in the Peak, or I'll come down there. But seriously, I'd love that, Rob. If we can get that sorted, I would be very grateful. I still think petrol and diesel is the future, says James, who clearly isn't aware that they're going to be illegal in just 6 years' time. So they're really not the future, James, because you're not going to be allowed to make them anymore. He goes on to say, I can't see an electric car lasting more than 10 years. Petrol and diesel is definitely my future for sure. It might be your future, but people who want new cars after 2030, it's an electric car or nothing. He goes on, you think of an electric car like a phone battery. It'll lose capacity over time, same as my 2021 iPhone battery. Not even 2 years old yet and at 85% capacity. Well, are you making the argument that petrol and diesel cars don't degenerate? Because they do, and they need things replacing. And, no doubt batteries will become cheaper. And they'll be able to be redone in some way. The bottom line is, like it or lump it, in terms of new cars, we're going electric. We might not like it. We might not think that it's an ultra long-term solution. But as of 2030, it's what's happening. So Simon says, something new is fine. Something being forced upon people through a falsehood of the environment is another thing entirely. Well, it's not a falsehood that people are dying because of car emissions. So I'm not sure which falsehood it is that you're referring to, but the air quality in certain parts of the UK is unacceptably low, and car emissions do play their part in that. And there's no falsehood in saying that emissions from electric cars are less. So, and, if change needs to happen, then people need to be forced to change. That's just a truism. If you don't force people to change, then they probably won't, or most people won't. I'm not saying that it's without issues or whatever, but petrol and diesel cars are dirty things, if you want to get right down to it, then think about this. Obviously, there's a lot of air around us. So you probably don't think about exhaust fumes and whatnot. Would you want to sit immediately behind your petrol or diesel car's exhaust and breathe that? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't, but that's what we're all doing. So if you were forced to try and live through breathing exhaust fumes, would you rather a petrol or diesel car, or would you rather an electric car? Now, I would rather an electric car, and that's kind of the picture that we've got. Okay, that's making it very micro, but there's a lot of air out there, but there are a lot of cars out there, and they're all polluting the air. And electric cars will pollute it less, won't they? Or am I missing something? Let me know. Electric is fab, says Joe, but I genuinely don't see it being the future. Petrol and diesel is always going to win. Right, okay, all of these people saying petrol and diesel is always going to win. Right, you realise that it's illegal to make them in 6 years' time, yeah? They can't be made, they can't be sold. So, yeah, they will continue to exist, the existing cars, but how can you say that something is the future when they're not being made and they're not legally allowed to be made? You're confusing me there, guys. Something is not going to be the future when it becomes illegal, surely. Again, or am I missing something? My local council removed 4 standard parking spaces for 2 lecky chargers. Brilliant. I approve of that. My Rover 45 is 22 years old, says James. An I-Pace won't last 22 years. Bet you it will. Joe says, still, it doesn't save you any money. Neighbour has an electric Kia. She says it's costing her more than it did running her previous 1.6 petrol and a lot more on insurance, but she does love it. And she's not poisoning children with her exhaust fumes. I think that's probably a good thing. And James again says petrol and diesel will always win, apparently, despite the fact that they're going to become illegal. And bear in mind that in 2030, it's going to become illegal to produce and sell them. How much longer is it going to be before they are illegal to drive or own? Probably not much longer. There's a big old thing coming up in 2050 where we've got to hit net zero. And if there are still a load of old petrol and diesel cars out there polluting the environment, you think they're still going to be legal? No. But don't worry about it. Electric cars are brilliant. You'll love them. Drive one. They're great. And by that time, the charging network will be fully up to speed. Cars for Paul bought a written-off Tesla Model S. Range was down to 160 miles. Yeah. So drive 160 miles, charge it up. Tesla switched the supercharge function off, says Bad Books. Don't know anything about that. It was still on the Jag. James says an electric car needs a cat machine to burn around 1,000 litres of fuel in 12 hours, moving around 250 tons of dirt to remove materials needed to produce 1 Tesla battery. Gosh, that sounds like a lot of work. Not sure how electric cars are greener when fossil fuels have to be burned to create that electric. Well, they don't, Trace, do they? You can have tidal power, you can have wind power, you can have nuclear power. There are many ways to produce electricity that don't involve fossil fuels. And there's currently no way to recycle or repurpose electric car batteries. So that's something that needs to be worked on. Gosh, you're getting quite enthused about this, aren't you? James, to make any battery, you have to edit 12 tons of lithium, 15 tons of ore for cobalt, 3 tons of... Right, okay. All of you people who are talking all of this about how environmentally unfriendly it is to make batteries, get rid of your smartphones. They have batteries too. If making batteries is as bad as you say, stop using them. Otherwise, you're hypocrites. If you're using devices with a battery and you're telling me and other people not to use devices with a battery, doesn't really make sense, does it? So if you think batteries are a big problem, fine. Lead by example. Don't use them. Get rid of your iPhone. Don't talk about how your battery on an iPhone is depleted and it's only 2 years old. Get rid of it. Go back to using a telephone box or use an old-fashioned telephone like I have just through there. No battery, no electricity at all, not needed. So put your money where your mouth is, you anti-battery people. I'm enjoying this. I just don't understand, says Joe, how anyone on minimum wage with the way cost of living is going to be able to afford a £35,000 electric car. Well, if they're on minimum wage, they probably won't be able to, will they? So maybe we should have all electric public transport and people should use that. and then that would cut down on the number of batteries needed. So everybody uses public transport, get those emissions down. Bad Book says, Tracy, there is a new electric vehicle battery recycling facility in Germany. Trey says, exactly, only one facility just now, and it's expensive. One facility in the whole of Europe. Yeah, but they can make more, can't they? I mean, at one point, and I'm pretty confident when I say this, at one point, there would only have been one petrol station in the whole of the United Kingdom. Just one. And now there are lots. That's what happens. When you need things, they happen. Now there are petrol stations all over the place, but there weren't always. They didn't open a petrol station within 1 mile of you all at the same time. It happened with time. And no doubt the same will happen with electric stuff. Hybrid, says Trace. What do we all think about hybrid electric stroke petrol cars? Good question. Joe says, but I will admit I've always wanted to go out in an electric car or drive one. I'd never driven one before yesterday, and it was a revelation. Pingu says, when I drove to Mustard Yard to collect the Codfather, I did not see another Rover on the road for the entire 12-hour round trip. There you go. So, we think Rovers are everywhere because in our world they are. We see them on our social media feed. We see them when we go to social gatherings. We see them on our own driveway. But in real terms, they've become a rare thing. James says, hybrids are much better because at least it's a lot more sensible. Joe says, Tracy, hybrids and plug-in hybrids are brilliant. Personally, I think they're the way forward, especially in cities and towns. James says, yes, much more sensible than just electric. And Joe says, Pingu, I agree with you. I never saw a Rover either on my way back to Cornwall. So, yeah, there you go. I was being taken to task over saying that these cars are rare. If you can drive 12 hours and not see one, de facto rare in my book. At least with a hybrid, you can drive it like a proper car, fill it with fuel, and then the battery charges when the engine runs over like 25 miles an hour. The only thing I don't get, says Joe, is Nissan's new e-Power, a petrol generator to power the electric motor. To me, that seems stupid and a complete waste of time. You might as well drive a 1 litre petrol. Simone says, changing the subject someone, is it too late at night to have a shower? Well, no, I would say. And Joe would agree, it's never too late to have a shower. This stream started 88 minutes ago, says Sans Vintage. I'm really late tonight. Hello, everyone. James says, but there's a point when the sat-nav gets discontinued with updates. Your brain is technically the best sat-nav out there. I mean, it's just not, right? I've got an exceptionally brilliant brain. Now, the first time that I drove in, let's pick a country. Okay, when I drove in America, my brain, brilliant as it is, didn't know how to get from the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas to the Hoover Dam. I was staying in the Bellagio Hotel. I wanted to go and look at the Hoover Dam, right? I didn't know how to get there. Sat-nav did. So, can anyone tell I hate modern tech? Asked Simone. Yes, we can. I've got an AA Road Atlas, says James, but also have my iPhone. Well, you should get rid of your iPhone. It's got a battery, and they're very bad things. I love maps and plot routes and read maps whilst in a car. People think I'm weird reading maps, and I know I'm not. And that's from Tracy, and I would agree. Oh, some of us are loving maps. That's nice, and I really do. Steve says, whatever happened to all of these phone numbers that we used to memorize before mobiles? Again, it's right. What time is it? Okay, it is midnight. It's time for me to go and get some supper. But I'm going to get through these comments. But we're having a jolly good debate on the electric vehicle thing. And please, those of you who are going to join me again tomorrow, let's continue this debate. Let's have this as a constant theme. We'll call it the future of driving or the future of vehicles or something like that. And we'll have it as a constant thing that we can and no doubt will refer to at any time, because it started quite late in tonight's live stream and we've run out of time basically, but it's a really interesting conversation and I would love to carry it on, especially talking about using maps and doing all of the old school stuff, because I love that. What percentage of UK car drivers drive brand new cars? Not got a clue, sounds vintage. Not a clue, but you could look up the numbers of new car sales in a given year, and that would give you a clue. Is there a market for second-hand electric cars? I would imagine there is. It has been said already that, Simone, that 2030 cutoff for internal combustion engines is looking more and more unlikely. Like in Europe, they've pushed back already. Net zero is not possible. 2030 will happen. And the reason that I can tell you it will happen is that car companies believe that it will happen. In other words, all car manufacturers, certainly in UK terms, have already got every plan in place to stop their production of internal combustion engines either on or before 2030. So this has been a debate that's been well rehearsed in Parliament and elsewhere. We've gone so far down this route that it wouldn't matter if a different party came into power and revoked that, right? It would still happen because the companies have irrevocably accepted that and made their own plans. So trust me, that will happen. Government is government, business is business. And for companies to do an about turn and to continue to produce petrol and diesel after 2030 now would simply be financially unviable. So whatever government decides, it's financially unviable. And in business, when something isn't financially viable, guess what? It doesn't happen. So you can take it as read that in the UK, at least, no petrol or diesel vehicles will be sold. If they, if the legislation were to be revoked or pushed back a little bit, then you might get some smaller manufacturers like, I don't know, Morgan or something continue to produce, but the big boys won't. They've already irrevocably committed to an electric future, at least in the relatively short-term future. I still think hydrogen will be the long-term future. Plane emissions also poison children, as does burning rubbish, both commercially and commercial rubbish. Well, so they should be stopped as well. But you need fuel to make the dirty electric cars. That's the irony. Electric are polluting. Well, so you need to find clean ways to produce it. So you need to use nuclear, fission, wind, tide. You can have total wind, etc. You can have tidal wind, etc. power stage race, but our government hasn't invested enough. So they will have to invest more. Simone says the electric grid will not be able to cope with 100% electric cars, not as it stands at the moment. It's going to have to be improved, and it will be. What about the dirty business of battery manufacture? Sounds vintage. I know it's outrageous. And all of you who have iPhones or other smartphones or television remote controls, anything using a battery, stop using them immediately. You are responsible for killing children, so you should stop it. Battery phones have existed all my life, says James. Well, battery cars have existed all of your life as well. The average smartphone battery is 4,500 AH. Okay, what does that mean? The only power I see being probable is hydrogen. In the long term, I would totally agree with that, Simone. Atopic palate cleanser. Everyone's thoughts on Sir Joseph of Lloyd's consultancy, new Chariot, a rather gorgeous 1990 Rover R8 416 GSI hatchback auto. Yeah, I kind of knew about that already, but yeah, thoughts, bring them forward. Petrol and diesel will still be available, says James. No, they won't. And used, they will be used. And electric will be phased out. No, it won't. I see quite a few Rovers out and about, and I always see a new one every single day, says James. Gosh. Rob says, I can drive for approximately 36 seconds before I see another Tesla. Yeah, there's plenty of them around. Backup title suggestion, constant debater, but are they a master? Oh, that's quite clever. You're on form tonight, Ben. You're on form tonight. I stood by a local road the other day, says Grace, and not kidding, 4 Teslas passed in 5 minutes. Oh, Mustard's here. Just as usual, just in time for me to go. And I'm coming towards the end of the comments, so I will be going, just as we welcome Mustard. No, they haven't, says James. A Prius came out in 2001, and that ain't fully battery. What battery car came out in 2001? About 2008 for the first Tesla Roadster. Milk floats, James. Milk floats. Ask your mum and dad about milk floats. Fully electric, and they were around long before you were even a glint in your father's eye. Milk floats. And also the Sinclair C5. There you go. Electric cars will stop you going certain places in the future. I suppose that's possible. Just finished editing your interruptions. Yeah, it was a good day today. I still don't know whether Mustard was being genuine about his plans for today or whether he was winding me up and trying to make me feel guilty, because in my mind, the aims of today were to get Windsor Davis to the yard and, underneath Mustard's arse and in his capable hands, and get lots of lovely footage on his channel. Potentially to bring a daily car back for me, to have a lot of fun and to have a really nice lunch. And we very much ticked all of those boxes. But when I got there, I was confronted by a videoing Mustard who had decided that today's mission was to buy a car locally. And he kept banging on about it all day, and I really didn't want to do it. As I pointed out, we tried doing that in Series 1 and Mustard and Boaty do cars, and it was a total bloody disaster. Whereas what we're doing now, carefully sourcing more special cars and developing relationships with the vendors and going on, that's all of that kind of thing is working out really well. I didn't really want to go back to hawking Facebook Marketplace and buying some dodgy Fiesta for 600 quid. But I mean, it was probably winding me up. But it's difficult to tell with Mustard. Right, jolly good. Well, I think, gosh, we're up to 28 viewers at this time of night. Well, it's 10 past midnight, darlings. I've done over 2 hours. I'm quite tired. And quite honestly, I won't lie to you, I would like to be 3 things. I would like 3 things more so than I am now. I would like to be a lot more drunk, a lot more fed, and a lot more asleep. And I'm going to make all 3 of those wonderful things happen by buggering off and allowing you to bugger off. And I will get some supper, I will drink some more wine, and I will go to sleep. But I want to thank you for tonight. I've really enjoyed tonight. And seriously, let's please keep this discussion going. It's an important discussion. Many of us watching these live streams are motoring enthusiasts. We probably all either drive a car or cars feature in our daily life. And it's been a really interesting debate, genuinely interesting. And I would love to continue it in future live streams. So let's just have, oh, bless you. Thank you, Mustard. Yeah, don't forget the like button. Give it a tickle. Give that like button. Do it now. Do it now. Go on. Tickle that like button. Tickle it. Tickle it. Tickle it like you mean it and call me daddy. So yeah, please let's keep this conversation going in the in live streams to come. Let's have it as a constant, and I do genuinely want to hear everybody's opinions, even if I appear not to agree with them. And do bear in mind, don't take offence at anything that I might say. I have a habit of encouraging conversation by saying something where I might not totally, absolutely. Oh, hello. Boaty vid suggestion. Why don't you pose the electric stroke hybrid stroke petrol stroke diesel issues in a video? Make it controversial. Get people subbing and commenting. That's a good idea. Simone gave the like button a donkey punch, and I'm jolly grateful for that. I'm grateful for Mike, who paid me 5 of the King's pounds to call this live stream I Don't Like Myself, which I'm going to combine with Ben's fabulous title. And it's been lovely to catch up with you all. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me and the other community members tonight. I really am exceedingly grateful. And I've loved this time, as I always do, whenever I get to spend time with you. And do bear in mind, I will be here at 11 o'clock tomorrow, and I would, 11 o'clock p.m., not in the morning. And I would love to have your company if it were possible. There will be probably quite a long daily diary coming out tomorrow for all you channel members. And I'm guessing that by now, with the number of channel members I have, which is lovely, thank you all, I'm guessing that you all, my inner sanctum, you are probably all channel members. So I can safely say that, yeah, you will get a daily diary video tomorrow. And there will be a 1919 video for everybody tomorrow as well, probably. But I don't know what it is. If I can do it in time, I haven't even started editing yet. It might be the Jaguar video. I'd love to get that done, but I'm going to have a really long daily diary to edit. So tomorrow might just be a long daily diary, and then the first of what's probably going to be 2 lunch videos this week. And then that will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the Jag video might go out on Thursday. But we'll see how tomorrow. We'll see how tomorrow goes. So hopefully I will see you guys tomorrow night. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your company as always. Please have a. I'll just show that. Splendid. Have a safe and peaceful night. Have the best day that you can tomorrow. Sleep tight. Take great care of yourselves. Much love to you all. And please join me again, 11 o'clock tomorrow p.m. Good night.